Hello, and welcome to the show with no name. I'm Theonie Roussianos, and that is...
I'm Adaire Palmer. I don't know
I got it right. What the hell?
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here again. This is show number what? How many? 3 or 4? We're
Four.
very, very brand new.
Show
number
4. And we still have no name, but we do like the ring of the show with no name.
No name.
We're sticking with it.
We'll stick with it until we get a better offer. So if anyone can think up of a really catchy name for what we're about.
So we are at the minute, I guess technically we're the show with no name yet.
That's it. Yes.
That's it.
The show with no name hyphen yet.
Yeah. Okay, so we're excited today. We've got a special show for you today. I've been in contact with Luke McLean for a little while and had chatted with him, on and off over the last year or so. And we thought it'd be an excellent idea to chat with him today because he's got some exciting projects coming up with his business partner Tamika Jones. So Luke is an entrepreneur and keynote speaker. He's the co-founder of MyndShyft, a company which helps people start with developing a strong mindset to overcome any challenges and achieve their desired success. He's also a mental health ambassador, having run events raising awareness for mental health and over the last couple of years supporting Beyond Blue through his Out of the Blue Gala Ball. He's passionate about making a difference to the understanding and education of mental health. As someone who has been through addiction, depression and anxiety, he is now creating his own non-profit based around helping Australians understand and improve their own mental health. And so I'm still learning to drive the bus. I should have already brought Luke in, so we'll play some thinking music while he joins us. How you going, Luke? Thank you for joining us.
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me on the show with no name yet.
Yeah, she's spot on. Now, the reason
I was just going to say that 10-second delay will come in handy when we can do the beep like they do in radio when we drop the F-bomb.
When we say something completely, it'd be a show full of beeps if we had to beep out any time we said anything inappropriate.
I totally would.
So thank you for joining us. Last night I was, you were front of mind this week because I did see the interview that you did with Channel 9 News. I think that aired on Wednesday or Tuesday night?
Tuesday, yes.
It was this week anyway. And I thought, what a perfect timing to get you on because you have some exciting things coming up as well. But thought we'd chat to you first about why this cause, why not necessarily Beyond Blue, because we can get into that later, but why raising awareness for mental illness and mental health specifically?
Absolutely. It's something that I battled for a very long period of my life through addiction. It caused a lot of pretty severe depression within myself, and then it set on the anxiety and the massive panic attacks, and it was something that I had zero understanding of. But I think more importantly, I had zero understanding of how to better it until I was sitting in front of a GP and them telling me that I needed to go on a mental health plan. So I think for me, it was the realization that it is very, very common for mental illness. When you speak statistics of 45% of Australians will suffer from a mental health illness in their life. It's almost 1 in 2. So 3 of us here, wow. It's definitely going to be 1. So yeah. I think the statistic alone is quite scary. And, for me, it happened, it was for a large period of my life without really knowing how to improve it and what to actually do. So I wanted to be able to use that experience and to use, I guess, the struggle that I had to be able to not only help myself, but to help other people, to educate people around what it actually is and how to handle it, but then also how you can improve it before it gets to the point where you need to sit in front of a GP and talk about that type of thing.
And yeah, quite often it is as simple as people just don't know where to turn. They don't know what to do next. They know that they don't feel themselves. They know that whatever it is they're feeling is not right. But there's also, and I think I feel that it's more men than women because women tend to talk about their problems. But around men and mental health and mental illness, I think there's still a stigma surrounding that. Absolutely. And it's, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have the perception that men feel they're not manly enough if they admit they've got a problem or they need to break down in tears or whatever.
Yeah, it's definitely very different, and like the statistics reported on, the likelihood of a male compared to a female actually seeking assistance, and it's very less likely for a male to actually do it because our generation is brought up to in that mentality of look, I can get through it and I need to be tough, and and that's what we're taught as men, to be tough by just battling through. So that's why I think they're less likely to open up about it. And when you think about your close circle of friends or connections, it can be quite daunting as a male saying, oh, hey, like I'm not feeling great, because a lot of the time someone, the stigma is, and the feeling is that you just get laughed at. So it can be quite difficult to open up about your emotion as a male.
Yeah, and the reality is everybody else is probably thinking the same thing. So nobody's saying anything for the exact same reason, whereas they could all be helping each other.
So
absolutely.
So Luke, I think the question I wanted to ask was, we said that what was the statistics again? How many people are affected by mental health issues?
Statistically, it's 45% throughout a lifetime of Australians, so close to 50. But it's statistically shown that 1 in 5 adults will suffer at some point in the year. But then also the other one that absolutely blows my mind is 1 in 7 children will suffer from mental health. Like, that's crazy.
So can I ask, Luke, are there classic symptoms? Because if you know somebody that is close to you, is it different for everybody? Because I know in some cases the symptoms are quite different, but if there are classic signs or symptoms that you can look out for, and if you could share some of your wisdom about how, if there's loved ones that we are living with or in our family or close friends that we see displaying these signs, what's the best ways to go about supporting them and broaching the subject? Sure.
I think, and definitely before I sort of, I guess, go into anything, I definitely state that I'm not professional in this. So it is based on my experience and what I've been through. But when it comes to, I guess, the symptoms, they can be very different. But one thing that I think stands out is a lot of the time the isolation. So people will go into, losing the connection of talking or going out or going to things with friends. So that's something that can be, I guess, noticed. And when that starts to happen, I guess that's something you can look out for and think, oh, well, that's a bit different. So, that's one. But I always think back, there's organisations, and you've got Are You OK Day. Are You OK Day for me should be every day. If people are actively just out there, and it's not to put it in a negative way, but it's not, if your group of your circle of friends, connections, if you're talking to them, whether it's every day or whatever it is, and just making sure that everything is okay. The problem is it's okay to ask, but then a lot of the time people won't be honest about how they are feeling. So it's taking that ownership, because it is very hard if someone is suffering and they're not willing to seek help themselves. It can be very, very difficult to be able to help that person. So that's where with what I speak about now and what I want to help educate, it's very much about trying to help before it gets to that point. And I think we live in a society, in a world now where we're brought up to want more. We're brought up to, we're never really grateful or happy with what we have. We always want the nicer car or the better house, or the neighbour's got a bigger TV, so we want that. And it comes back to just being grateful for what you do have as opposed to the things that you want. And I think if that alone, we can focus on that, it can really help, if we can just focus on being grateful for what we have.
Yeah, and so Georgie commented just on what you said earlier, agreeing with you, saying that isolation is definitely a good indicator.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of other symptoms, and for me, I mean, I first realised, I self-diagnosed myself before I ever went to a GP, actually, because I was looking at, I'd Googled symptoms of depression, and I went tick, 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 tick. And a lot of the time it's, it is isolation, but there's mood swings. If someone's, I guess, getting angry or, the mood swings are there for things that are for so little, that can be something that can really stand out. And that's when you can sort of sit down and go, well, look, that's not the problem. What is actually causing you to feel like that? And then that's when you can really start to challenge the thought process behind it.
So do you think that in terms of the treatment, things like having a chemical imbalance and having antidepressants and that, does that help at all? Because I know when I went through a really bad episode with depression, the doctor put me on depressants, and seriously, that was worse than having the depression. It was. What's your thoughts on that?
Does that depend? I guess my own understanding, again, I've not suffered through that. We all have, there's a big difference between feeling down in the dumps and being depressed. It's like they're worlds apart. Everybody has down days. Everybody gets there. You always have this, shit moment or whatever. Depression's a whole other thing. But what I'm told by others, I do have friends who suffer with varying degrees of depression going from here to here. And they've all said the same thing, that what the antidepressants just make them numb to all emotion. So while it might fix some of the thought patterns, it does change some of that. But then they're completely numb to everything else. So it causes other issues as well. Yeah.
I have heard that, and I've heard it's quite common. I've never personally ever been on any medication for the things that I've been through. I just personally chose not to, and I think everyone is different in that sense. I think that the medication can be, I guess, helpful when you're vulnerable, to be able to help you through certain moments. But I think it then comes back to if you're then relying on it, and you're not educating yourself and building strategies on other ways to overcome the way you're feeling, I think that's when it can be a negative issue. But I think everyone's different. I mean, there's different levels to illness. So I think for some people, it probably is an efficient method. And then for others, it could be an inefficient method. So I guess the only thing I can really say on that is, do consult your GP, but more so to the point, don't always just follow that path. Try and really think about your own thoughts and feelings yourself, and try and help yourself as well.
Because this comes back to the name of your business as well, but the big mindset shift. I've got an echo in my ears. Who's that?
Not sure.
We have an echo. I can hear you. It's gone now. Okay.
It's gone now. That's it. So a big mindset shift can be, with your mild, I mean, if somebody's suffering with, bipolar, something like that, I'm not talking about that. But a lot of your milder forms of depression, a lot of the time it is, and again, I'm only going on what other people have told me. I'm no expert by any stretch of the imagination. Mindset shift is a big thing, because once people start, they go through, whether it's illness that's got them down and changed their life and they feel like life's been stripped away from them, or whether it's, there's been a death in the family or something else has happened to them, and they go through that, it then becomes, it's easy to fall into the thought process of, nothing good ever happens to me, all bad things happen, blah, blah, blah. And then, I mean, if you believe in the law of attraction stuff, you do keep attracting this stuff if that's the way that you think.
Absolutely.
And so the mindset shift's a big thing. And again, knowing where to go for that kind of help, because it's not easy to just pull yourself out of it. It's quite often you do need help to get there.
Yeah, it's mindset is the foundation for everything. And when you talk about mental illness, as we've just said, there's different levels to it, but I 100% believe myself that mental illness can be overcome. It's not a life sentence. And I feel the exact same about addiction. A lot of people believe their own stories that they'll always be an addict or they'll always be depressed or all of these things. And as you touched on, Theonie, it's about people believing the things that they're constantly telling themselves. And that's about the attraction. If you want to tell yourself that you're not good enough, or you tell yourself that you'll be like this, then that's how you're going to be. So it is about, everyone has a problem, but the problem doesn't define you. It is the solution that does. So I'm a big believer on it. Doesn't matter what the story is, use the story to be able to, because that story you've got experience from. So you can definitely help yourself from learning from it, but you can help other people. But everyone has been through something, whether it's your parents, like my parents were divorced when I was a baby. Some people have really, really bad upbringings. They don't have parents. They've lived on the streets. They've been addicted to things, a bunch of different things. Everyone has a story, but that doesn't have to define you, and it doesn't have to mean that you're destined to have a poor life. Like I draw a lot of inspiration from, people like the Tony Robbins and Eric Thomas of the world, like these motivational speakers who they've all been through things, and that doesn't make them special. But it's about what they've created in their life from what they've actually wanted, and not using that initial story to hinder them. And that's what a lot of people do, is they use their negative to really hold them back from doing anything that they actually want.
Yeah. All right. So now moving forward, do you want to speak to us about what it is you're doing, what you've got going on now? Now, last year, I know when we first connected, you were in throes of planning a ball called Out of the Blue Gala Ball, raising money for Beyond Blue and awareness for mental health and mental illness. Now, and you're doing it again.
So just a little bit perhaps about, I think I love this. Sorry, I'm butting in here.
No, go for it.
I can't help myself. So just if anybody wants to ask any questions of Luke, please do. Now's your time. We've got about 10 minutes left to talk to Luke. If you're interested in getting tickets for the ball that Luke's going to be talking about, can you please comment blue in the comments below, and you'll be sent a link. That's it, the comments below, and you'll be sent a link into your inbox that actually gives you the link. And Luke will tell us a little bit more about that right now.
Yes. So it actually, I'll go very, very quickly on it, but it started last year with, I was having a year off of alcohol, and I wanted to raise money for an organisation that I was quite fond of. So I chose Beyond Blue, based in the mental health section, and I wanted to raise $10,000, and it got to about April, and I'd only raised about $1,200. So I needed some injection, and I needed some ideas. So that's when I got with Tamika, and we started thinking about different ways that we could help raise some more money. And that's where, instead of just putting on a sausage sizzle, we came up with the Out of the Blue Gala Ball. And so it was a massive event last year. We sold it out within about 6 to 8 weeks, and it was a great response from the local community within Adelaide. And it was a very, very successful night. We had a 3-course dinner. It was full drinks package from 6:30 until midnight. And it was a really good night. We've taken that night and really made it even bigger. So we've doubled the capacity this year. So we've got a huge space down at Festival Function Centre on Findon Road. It's the same time frame, so 6:30 until midnight, and that covers all your beer, wine and champagne. There are spirits there available at your own cost, but the menu is absolutely fantastic. That's about to be put out onto social as well, but a 3-course dinner that you do get. we've got some awesome entertainment in this year as well. So there'll be a special performance that we haven't announced yet, which I'm really looking forward to. So that'll be absolutely amazing. We've also got the cast who are from Adelaide, who are a massive piece band. So they actually do an acoustic opening. They do sets throughout the night, and then they do have the ability to offer a DJ set at the end for everyone after they've had a couple of drinks and get up on the dance floor, which would be really good.
That could get fun.
So we've got all of that happening. Cozzy is the MC this year, so he'll provide plenty of entertainment on the night, and we do have some really amazing local speakers. We want to be able to encourage that as well. So one of the amazing speakers that we'll have is our platinum partner, Nathan Frick from Shiny Ideas. He's got a great story, and the journey that he's come on from his own personal experience is absolutely amazing. So the courage and the confidence he's now got to be able to share his story through events like this that helps raise awareness on you're not alone and you're not the only one going through your journey, and that it is okay to share about your experience, and you're not going to be put down for it. It's not going to ruin your reputation and all of these things. So that's I guess the importance of the night. It really makes people comfortable with what they're going through, and it shows them that there is a big community out there of people that have been through things, and it allows you to be able to use their experience to help you. Other than that, it's just a really fun night. People love it. They can have a few drinks, enjoy themselves. There's not that many events in Adelaide, so we may as well put on an amazing event because no one else would be doing anything otherwise. But so that's July 7. I probably should have mentioned that. So it is next Saturday night. Ticket sales do actually close off this Sunday. So anyone that is interested in coming will need to jump on pretty quickly. But that's why we put the special offer, which will get you $10 off if you comment blue below. So that way you'll be able to get all of that we just spoke about for only $150.
Hey, that $10 you can use to get yourself a G&T over the bar.
Yeah, the G&Ts are free, aren't they?
A bit on an amazing option item that we've got on the night as well.
Well, if they spend their $10 on their G&T, they'll be a little bit looser with the wallet, so they're throwing more money. That's absolutely right. Now, we do have a question. I do want to go back to this, Luke, and then we'll come back to the event. I just think this was a good point. So now, Bet's Holistic Therapy. I'm Adaire. Do you know what is that, Roz?
Roz, hey Roz,
it is Roz.
Welcome, and thanks
so
for coming in as your business page. Clever girl.
I need to get close to the screen so I can read these. So just pardon my eyes and nose.
I can do it. Is there a technique?
You can do that.
Luke, is there a technique that Luke has found which stands out for getting through the initial realization of having depression to getting better?
For me, the first thing that comes to my mind and the first thing that helped me was just getting it off of my chest. There's a lot of build up and there's a lot of fear about speaking about it, about opening up, about how people will think of you, about the judgment that you're going to get, whether you're going to lose friends from it, whether you lose support from family. There's all of these thoughts that go through your head, and honestly, it's so invigorating, I guess, whatever the word is. When you first just share it, it may not be someone that can relate and might be able to support you, but it helps so much to just get the weight off of your chest, off of your shoulders, wherever all of that weight is, to be able to just talk about it and share it. And that's essentially why we named the ball Out of the Blue, because it's just about coming out and being open about your feelings. And it's very simple to do, but that communication and the early talking about it can be so significant.
So was there one pivotal thing that got you to open your mouth and talk? This is, I guess it's like if you could think back and say, well, what was the crux of it that brought you out of the dark, out of the blue, basically? What was there? Yeah.
Well, look, for me, it was a need. I felt I was at absolute rock bottom, and for me, I was going through a massive panic attack, and the realization for me that if I was going to continue on my cycle of addiction, depression, and these panic attacks, that for me, I knew the realization was that my path was going to either end up with me committing suicide or with me ending up in jail. And it was the dark moment of feeling completely worthless, that I knew that I needed to be able to open up and get some help from people that had been through it. Because when we think of business or when we think of anything, to be able to get assistance, it's from people that have been there. So I knew that I needed to be able to get some advice and open up about how I was feeling.
Can I just say, sorry, Theonie, I'm going to do the Greek wife thing on you and talk over you. Roz is saying, would you suggest to talk to someone close who you can trust? Now, there was two aspects to that. The other day it was actually on a live broadcast on Facebook, because I tend to be more hooking into that than TV these days. Someone actually said, it's okay to ask, are you planning on killing yourself? Now, you mentioned suicide. Now, that's another taboo subject in our society. Yeah. So there were two aspects to what I wanted to ask. What Roz has said, do you talk to someone close, or do you reach out to somewhere like Beyond Blue? And also for those people around you, is it okay to say, are you planning on killing yourself?
Look, suicide for me isn't, it's definitely not my knowledgeable, I guess, specialty. Mm-hmm. So when it comes to that, I'd be jumping on the phone to Lifeline if there's someone that's talking about it. But definitely I know when I have had conversations either with them or organisations, it is a question, that they ask straight up because they want to know what type of space you're in. But definitely. Look, I've spoken to a lot of people who have reached out to me knowing that I'm open to talking about it and that I can relate. So I think a lot of people find it hard to talk to someone that they necessarily trust or that are close to them because of that fear of judgment. Mm-hmm. I'd encourage it, but I'd also highly encourage to do it face to face because, online, through Facebook, things like that, things can get misinterpreted, but also you can get very anxious waiting for responses. And I've had it where people have been messaging me and, if I've been busy or doing things and I don't respond to them, they get quite anxious. So I'd highly encourage, reach out, grab a coffee, go see someone face to face and talk about it. But ideally someone that you can trust. Next step, definitely organisations, support networks like Beyond Blue, Lifeline, and these types of organisations. But then also, reach out to a professional within your network that can relate.
Yeah, and your GP can be your first point of call as well if you don't have anyone else, because they know which organisations are out there. They know who to put you in contact with. Not every GP is a specialist in mental health, but they will know where to refer you so that
absolutely. They'll know exactly which pathway you should be on. I have noticed that question, which organisations, and there are a lot. And we mentioned just a couple in Beyond Blue and Lifeline. But the best thing about a lot of those organisations is it's not just the person that is going through it themselves, but there's amazing support networks for the families or friends that are needing assistance as well. So you can go to a lot of those places to be able to get advice if it's not you, but someone or someone close to you.
And can I just say something on that? We haven't got much time to go, but don't remember, everybody, comment blue below to receive a link to the website so that you can receive your $10 promo code for a discounted ticket to the ball on the 7th of July. Now, it can be, so Roz has said, this is a good point, it can be difficult to open up to close friends and family about mental health issues. And I'd have to agree with that. Sometimes it's easier to get down to the real burning issues with someone you don't know and you have no emotional attachment to. So that's a very good point. There was something else I wanted to say as well, that you said as well about how there's also support for the families of someone who's going through mental illness. And this is something I do want to touch on as well. We've spoken to the amazing Cassie Day before. Cassie runs a support network for parents and carers of any kind of, whether it's illness or whether it's it can be mental health, it can be absolutely anything. You know, there are parents who have kids with autism, you know, just anything that's out of the, you know, normal, whatever that is. For people who need help with that kind of stuff. Like, so I'm a carer, well, not that I'm so much now, he's doing well now, but things are, you know, out of the ordinary with my husband and his illness. And that's just a great place to go when you don't know what to do to help that person. But then it also brings you down as well, because when you're watching someone, you know, someone might be self-harm is another thing that comes with mental illness, all that kind of stuff. And if you're watching someone go through that stuff, you need help yourself. So there are lots of support networks. Parents and Carers Connect is Cassie Day's online network. She's local in Adelaide, but there are people from all over the place in there. So that's a great online space to connect with. And then she's obviously got other connections where organisations she can connect you to for the specific help that you need as well. You know, as well as seeing your doctor, calling Lifeline, all of those things that we mentioned before, Beyond Blue as well.
Yeah.
And so that's bringing us up to time. Thank you so much for joining us, Luke. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And just remember, everybody, comment blue, as in the colour blue, word blue, feeling blue, beyond blue, just the word blue. Comment blue below for a link into your inbox so that you can go straight in and get tickets without having to search for it on the interwebs.
And the other thing we didn't ask people to do, but we'd really, really love it if you shared this broadcast too, because we need your help to get the word out there. It's all about community, and it's all about us joining together and sharing the information so that other people can have an opportunity to get to know Luke and the good work that he's doing. Luke, you did say that you were starting your own not-for-profit. What we're going to do is we're going to get you back because we want to talk about that. We've run out of time today, but we definitely want to hear more about what you're doing in that space.
Cool. Would love to be back on. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us. Don't go away. Thank you for joining us, everybody, on the show with no name. I'm Theonie Roussianos.
And I'm Adaire Palmer. and that's Luke.
And that was Luke McLean. And we'll see you the same time, same place next week on the show with no name.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.